Yo guys, Pop here, bringing you my third Offworld Trading Company replay commentary. So this is a game off the ladder. We have myself, Pops Your Socks, a player named Dien Natuso, who I think is pretty new, but he winds up doing fairly well this game. Then we have Black Magic, who basically needs no introduction. He's one of the very top players in the game. And then we have Colonize, who I haven't seen before, but he also turned out to be quite solid this game. So yeah, we've got a Chinese map, which means pressure on glass, a bit on water, a bit on food. And additionally, we have double price glass to start. So my found is either going to be something that can make glass on level 2, or just go robotic and ignore glass altogether. There is kind of a spot down here, but the silicon is a bit far, as is the aluminum. Yeah, so we can see that Dien Natusa founds first, but he founds here.
Has been founded. A scavenger HQ has been founded.
Yeah, this is not great. I mean, he's got adjacent high aluminum, which is okay, and aluminum starts strong, but there's really nothing else around here. So this, I feel like, is more like, the oh shit found when like everyone else founds and you have nowhere to go, like you just found here. But this is not a 36k debt found. And then coming in next, we have myself. I found expansive over here. I really like this area. I've got my high iron. I'm going to work towards an adjacent high silicon. There's good water over here, and aluminum is, a little far, but it's fine, right? Or actually just come over here for this aluminum. So I quite like that found. And then Colonize comes in here with Scav. He goes carbon carbon, but it's not adjacent, which is a little unfortunate, but fuel's not terrible, so I guess it's fine.
An expansive HQ has been founded.
And then Black Magic founds down here, and I quite like what he does with his found. We saw this spawn, but I don't love it, but he actually plays it pretty well, and something I want to emulate in the future in my own founds. So he goes for the high aluminum, and then goes steel steel. And the reason I like this is because he actually doesn't take iron, but what he does do is use his cash to just buy up some cheap iron and then double produces steel. So that's really good. And I think maybe I should have done something similar over here. I wanted to get my base to connect to this high silicon, which is why I did this. But I could have just used my level 2 claims to take it. And here's something really unfortunate. You saw I'm not level 2 yet because I didn't do, the steel play I mentioned. It slows me down a little bit. And here we have our upgrade just now. So we take the upgrade and we look for this tile, and yep, it's claimed by Colonize. Like just in that slight moment of hesitation we had. So that's a little sad. I mean, the reason I like this game a lot is because you don't need like 300 APM to play it. It's more about being smart. But in this case, like I did need to be just a touch quicker. I mean, we take the low silicon, which is we don't want silicon to go out of control because we are planning to go to glass here. But it would have been nice to have that high. That means why we kind of found it over here. So Colonize for level 2 goes for 1 wind, water, and aluminum, but isn't going for any kind of like advanced production, which is probably okay. I mean, food is not great, and neither are the reactors at this point. Dien Natusa goes for also silicon, so we have 3 players mining silicon at this point, and he's got this far iron, which we saw earlier. He's got this kind of farish water, and he goes for a geo, which is good. Power is going to be actually going up quite a lot. We have steel over here, and this is the problem with the level 2 glass. Yeah, oxygen's cheap, silicon's cheap, but power is not cheap, and glass, what are they called? Glass kilns now. They do consume quite a bit of power in comparison to other buildings. It's like double this. And also Black Magic for his level 2 went triple steel. He is picking up a geo, which will put him slightly positive on power, but power is on the rise. And unfortunately, we couldn't do much about it. There's no claims. I mean, we could go for an auction. We instead choose to use our cooldown to get the first goon in the game. We paid
A
2k for
new
that goon,
claim is available for auction.
which I think is fine. So here comes an auction for a claim. It is important to note that the scavenger player Colonize is ahead on upgrades at this point. His first production is going to be 1 glass and 1 reactor. The glass is fine, and the reactor makes sense. I hope he does put down 2
Sold.
at least. I hope it's not just going to be 1 and 1 here. What is he doing? He has 1 claim left.
An expansive HQ has been
Oh,
upgraded.
and this was important. The claim auction went to Dean Natusa for 18k. And as much as we would have liked to, push to 20 on that, we're at 48k debt with no power production currently. So debt is like gonna be a problem here. So we can't actually push that claim any higher. He takes it for 18, which I think is quite bad. It puts him in C on level 2. But what he does is, unfortunately, he takes this geo here, and this is the last geothermal tile on the map. We expanded right after he took that claim. You can see it right here, but we did miss getting the geo. So that's like the second tile that we were kind of looking at taking, but got beaten to by other players. Just a bit sad on that. We're now in B debt, just from bleeding all this power. We do go for 1 wind turbine. I think we had 4 claims, so we went glass, glass, water here on the high, and now a single wind. So this is not going to be putting us positive in power. We're still going to be losing power. And Dianatusa throws a dynamite onto Black Magic's geotherm, which I like. That's a strong play. He's into 2 geotherms, so he wants to be making that power. Probably not power money, he's in C debt, but he does want to be reaping the benefits of the high powered price. But here's the problem. I go for then a dynamite onto his second geotherm. I mean, my thinking at the moment was, okay, this player went for a dynamite. That means he doesn't have a goon squad, so I can blow this thing up. But I didn't actually stop to think about if I should. And the answer is actually I definitely should not do that, because I need power, the price of power to be coming down. Like, I don't plan on doing much with power this game, so the fact, it doesn't make sense for my long-term position to destroy his power. What I should have done is actually gone for a goon squad and protected my own power production, since power is so important in this game. So yeah, that was a misplay. One of the few that we're gonna actually see here. So there it is. So we are making glass. It's very good money. It's very strong. We're still not in reactors, which is getting bad for us. It wasn't at level 2, and now towards the end of like our level 3 phase, reactors are becoming an issue that we need to look into. That's also because Black Magic is still in level 2. He has no reactors. Colonize just expanded to level 4, so I assume he'll put down at least 1 more. But also this player, DM Natusa, has no reactors, so this price is going up quickly. So we need to expand and fix that, or possibly rotate these into reactors. But I mean, glass is still quite strong. We buy into a natural aluminum short because we need 240 to expand anyway, so we want to get those resources before the price shoots up. But our plan is also like just get 240 and then start selling down to make whatever we can back off that. So there goes the sell down.
Black market is open for business.
Here comes my black market. I think I just expand instead of using cash on black market. Oh no, I do buy an EMP. Yeah, so I slow down the scavenger. I go for this EMP or black market cooldown, which is pretty good because like food is really making him a lot of money. We shut down his reactors, a bit of his power. But the problem with that play is that we still don't have our power protected. So even though someone needs to slow this guy down, like it probably shouldn't be me there. Or like it can't be really. We need a goon squad here. So this turns out to be extremely important auction here. This hacker ray, and I say this because keep in mind this is just a ranked queue, so I have no idea who any of these players are. Like I don't know. I mean, I can see now that I've identified that this is kind of a weaker player. I'm sorry to say it, but like you're in C debt, you don't have a lot going on for yourself, your found wasn't very good. I mean, that's just what it is. The scavenger looks super threatening to me at this point because he's expanded well, he
Congratulations.
has good production, he's using adjacency, like he looks like a threat. So, um, and then over here we have, to me, Asimov, and Asimov like is deceptively strong. I mean, he doesn't seem to be doing much, but he does have two geos, so he's doing quite well in power, and he is moving into triple reactor, which is gonna be strong. And we have to let the auction go. I mean, we let it go for 12K to Asimov. We just can't realistically take on any more debt. Debt is already a massive problem for us. We've talked about the power thing this game. So we let it go to Asimov for 12K, but really, if I had known that was black magic, I would not have given him a hacker array for 12K. I mean, this is just gonna be painful as hell. So he goes for an energy short, and then immediately circuit overloads my undefended power, and we are just not in a good spot. I mean, we're in C debt. Debt is about to tick. No power in sight. I mean, we're making cash. That's what you do. Like, we're trading debt for cash, but at this point, it's not enough. Like, we're gonna spiral. So
The black
yeah,
market is online.
colonize is on level 4. He's got his glass ready to go. He's got most of his carbon. He needs a bit more carbon and a bit more aluminum, and then he can take his expo. But I do go for another freeze. I mean, that's my third black market cooldown in a row that I haven't gone for quite a cheap goon squad and just protected my power. And I do see that the hack array is working. I am paying attention to this, but there are no spies, so I don't know quite what the short is going to be. So I'm trying to just save a bit of cash to like counteract whatever it's going to be. But the problem is that it's a power short, and you can't use cash to do funny things with power. But what does happen instead is that Colonize does decide to upgrade. If you remember, he did have enough resources, but yeah, he doesn't have actually any kind of cash to defend himself. If you remember, these buildings have been frozen for quite a long time. I've thrown 2 EMPs in a row at all this production, so he expands, and I come after him, and I know that I can't make the buy by myself, but I'm just hoping that blue, and like at this point I have identified Asimov as being like
The
pretty
packing
strong.
lab is
Like he's
constructed.
he's using
Let's
his
get
hack
our
array,
science on.
which a lot of newer players just like they'll win the auction, just never look at it again. He does have good production, so I'm just hoping here that Asimov comes along on this buy,
The
and we can
black
take out
market is open for
the
business.
player that's jumped out to a pretty early advantage here. So I get 3, he gets 2, and then I push for the 4th. I don't know if that was exactly correct. Black Magic has about 30K right now. That leaves me with 10K. Problem is I just don't have a lot of cash right now. I mean, we're in deep. We want to pay debt. We have a patent lab, which I don't love that I did this. Um, it sort of happened like when it looked like he wasn't going to expand, so I wasn't sure what to do with my cash in the moment. So I went for Patent Lab, and then he did in fact expand, which then meant I had to use my cash that I was going to use here onto this buy. So it's a little awkward, that I have this and I don't have my chems ready. But at this point, I'm feeling decent, I guess. Like my debt is like really brutal. But we do have a patent lab. I don't know. I mean, we are ahead in upgrades here, and I'm not paying a ton of attention to this player and what he's doing. Like I'm just checking in on his base, every once in a while. I am paying pretty close
The
attention to
local
Black Magic at
union
this
rep
point.
is available to the highest
I
bidder.
do see that he's shorting energy, but I still don't goon my power. I mean, this is just such a problem. Like, yeah. But I guess what I do, in fact, is go for a power tech with this patent lab. I see that he's hacking power. I need to do something about it. Should have been a goon, but we go for perpetual motion. You could argue superconductor and then
Sold.
like transition to silicon maybe or something, but I don't know. I think perpetual motion is slightly better in the long term, so I just go for that instead. Here comes the second power short from Black Magic,
An
and
expansive
he's
HQ
still
has been
shorting power.
upgraded.
He upgrades. I'm not sure. I think he transitioned to food. He had steel here. He transitioned to food before his upgrade, um, which is fine. It's a good play, and goes for triple blast on HQ4. And he is taking a low silicon over here,
Pirates.
so
I
his
hate
silicon
those filthy
is gonna
bandits.
be. I mean, it's gonna be rough. He's gonna be losing a lot of silicon, but the sub has a high silicon, and this player has a high silicon. He's making 3 glass, so he's losing silicon as well. So silicon is going up, and we see that this is me. I am buying into silicon because I see that these players don't have enough. And we pick up perpetual motion there, but then we just immediately get circuit overloaded by a black magic again on these unfettered power. So it means nothing that I have perpetual motion. I mean, we're not making any power, so problem. Debt ticks for 23k. That puts us at 140k debt. We have a C rating at
The
130.
black market is online.
Our black market comes on off cooldown, but we're in D. We need to pay about 10k to get back to C. But yeah, so we sell down that silicon we've been building up. Makes us some cash in the short term. And do we expo here? I don't think so, because Black Magic has 70k. The end, this player has 80k. I do upgrade. That surprises me, honestly. Like, I shouldn't have done that. And if I remember correctly, I think Black Magic does come after me here, which is correct. I mean, that was a really risky upgrade. I'm not sitting on much. So here comes Black Magic. He's not in reactors anymore. He cycled out of his
Price
reactors back into
manipulations to
steel.
begin shortly.
So he's taking on some debt here when he could be making power money. But
You shouldn't
steel
buy
is
this and use
good,
it on an enemy. That
so
would be
I think
mean.
that's okay. He has a silicon off. This is because silicon, I've made it weird for him. And also probably it's just trying to save on the power and oxygen costs of those buildings. But these are 3 tiles that aren't actually making any money. So a power surge auction, I would love to have it, obviously, but you know, debt has just been such a problem. We're barely in C. I guess we could contest this a little bit, but looks like we just let it go for 7k.
Congratulations.
That's pretty painful, especially when he's making a buy on us. Yeah, probably an incorrect decision. So he puts his freeze here because this silicon is really good. It's 230 a second. And it also hits my other silicon, which I have going, and my 1 steel. So he's coming after me. I'm trying to sell down as much as I can, and also get production online as I'm doing that. I need to use my level 5 advantage to like just out-produce him. So I go for triple chems, which is good, but here's also another mistake of mine. I don't put down 3 reactors, and this is going to wind up costing us pretty heavily throughout the game, not having this specific tile claimed. I don't know what we eventually use this for. And we do go for a 3rd water, which I also don't like. We don't need this water. I don't know. Maybe if we did go for the 3rd reactor, then the water makes more sense, but not the yeah. So we do defend ourselves. Sorry I didn't like follow that a bit more, but you know, we sold down enough chems, enough steel, enough life support to defend our
Your
stock.
stock is being sold.
And then this is the problem. Dian Tusa expands, but he's expanding like as this player is like clearly trying to make a majority buy. So he expands before buying stock in himself, and now he's trying to desperately. I mean, he's not even selling down his shit. So there he goes. But it's a bit too late. You're dead. That being said, you know, he does seem to know what he's doing. Like, he made a good play at power. That was strong. You know, he's got decent territory. The Fountain was a bit bad, but you know, overall, like you know, a competent player certainly. So here comes Black Magic. I could, you know, buy 1 stock of his, but I just would rather Black Magic have to use that cash, and then I use my cash to try to advance my position over Black Magic. So I do actually go for an Offworld with that in mind. There are no holograms, but
The black
Goon
market
Squads
is
are quite
open
cheap.
for
I pick up
business.
that for 10. So this is gonna be, I'm just Black Magic just kind of blew his load, so to speak, on this player. So
The
he's gonna have a
black
hard
market is
time,
online.
A, defending himself, and then B, expanding, and then C, getting an Offworld. I mean, that's gonna be tough for him. So let's see how we play this out. He's
Let the
not
bidding
currently
begin.
hacking, which I don't know. I would probably say it's like a mistake at this point. I mean, there are markets you could hack that I'm not currently in. His hacks cost 7K, so that could definitely be why. That's a bit on the expensive side for a hack, especially when you don't have a
Sold.
lot of cash to put into the hack. If you had 100K, a hack for 7 is fine, but with only this much, and he's got everything else he needs to build. So he instead goes for a Pad Lab, which turns out to be really smart. And we'll see why. So what's happening? I'm buying myself a little bit. I don't know. I just want to secure my stock. Just buy, to prevent the majority buy. Um, so we're selling down glass. We're selling down
Offworld
chems.
market is assembled. The edge of fortune awaits. Production.
Yeah, we cycled out
The
of our
black
farms to
market
go
is
into
open
these
for
glass.
business.
It's weird having one farm, but it's just sort of like a small nod to the fact that like I need to prevent as much debt as possible. So even like I don't want 3 glass. It's just too much with this oxygen at this price. So I just leave it as a farm rather than scrapping it and then losing the, whatever. So I go for my next cooldown. I go for an EMP onto this tile. It looks like, but I'm not sure why I didn't just
Our
EMP
methods
this
continue to
because,
improve.
as we'll see, I am going for my own pad lab. I want to get thinking machines. This game's gonna go to Offworlds. I need thinking machines. I should have just probably EMP'd this tile. It would have frozen this, but in case it had a goon squad, it wouldn't have bounced or whatever. But instead, I go for the freeze onto his reactors. The problem is, as I mentioned before, I only have 2 reactors, so like I'm still not even actually making reactor money. And it looks like we did use our last claim on this tile to go for some upgrades. I like upgrade labs.
Dirty rat trying to break our shipment launched.
I like upgrade
We'll get
labs
all the
on
money.
maps where on-world prices are quite high. On-world prices here are sort of average, but I do bank on life support going up as I start shipping these off-worlds. So I just want the upgrade lab for probably, I start with glass, because glass is strong, and then I go 1 fuel. I think fuel is a bit more expensive when I queue that, and then I'm going now into 2 oxygen for this end. So Black Magic uses his black
The
market
patent lab is
on
ready to begin
my
research.
gooned offworld,
Optimization routine successful. The black
and I
market is
launch,
online.
but that ticked. I was in D. I'm back into C, back into D. I'm trying to buy a bit of his stock before it gets too expensive. I think I bought these before he had secured all 5, so I got him like a bit cheaper. But debt is still just a huge problem for us. We're just barely in D at this point, but yeah, when you're in C, I can't. I'm sure I've mentioned this, but it feels like you're really just in D because yeah, we're in C, but debt's gonna tick, and it's gonna tick for like 25K, and that's a lot of cash that I have to pay to then access the black market again afterwards.
We have
Um,
a hard to come by
HQ
land
has been
claim
upgraded.
available to the highest
in
bidder.
hindsight, I would actually just say like instead of maybe buying 1 stock of his, I should have just pushed to B debt because B debt is much more manageable. The ticks are much less, so I should have maybe just done that instead. So Black Magic expands to 5.
Congratulations.
He did finish Thinking
The
Machines,
black
like we had
market is
ours
open for
queued,
business.
but he beat us to it. And now he's also sadly going to beat us to Financial Instruments. We were pushing for that as well. He's going to beat us by
Launch affirmative.
like 5
What a
seconds.
payout.
But we are launching. As I say that, we get dynamited. Yeah, so we had the cooldown available for Goon Squad, and it was 20K, which is more than reasonable. And we just missed the cooldown. It was just it was a mistake, pure and simple. I think we were maybe distracted by the claim auction or something, or I don't remember. Maybe we were putting down another Offworld. Or just something happened, and we just kind of missed our black market cooldown, and we paid for it. But we did launch before it got blown up, so we're able to then use that cash for a second Offworld. Probably some debt payments. I'm sure we're done. Can anyone please tell me in a comment, is it possible in the after game screen to see how much cash I spent towards paying debt this game? I would love to see the total amount on that. So let me know. Thank you. So we cycle out of this one silicon that we had, the low silicon, into a hacker array of our own. We need to find an advantage somewhere. The fact that he has thinking machines is really scary for us at this point. It's obviously going late. Off-roads are going to be a thing, and then the black market is pretty strong. Unless you can't access it when you're in D-debt, or the other player has thinking machines, and that so this is a thing. Black Magic then goes for a Dynamite back onto my... I regooned this. He goes for Dynamite. So at this point, these Black Market effects are both bounced off my goons. I do have a Black Market cooldown available, but I don't have 30k for a goon just yet. I wonder what I do about this. I throw the bounced effects onto his hacker array. I want to shut down his hacks. It was in the process of working, and as I said, there's no spies, so I want to shut that down. It was maybe a waste, but he just wasn't putting down an off-world, so I went for his hacker array instead. I do pick up that goon, and I regoon my off-world. That was a 30k goon, now it's 50. So now the next goon is really tough. We're back into D-debt again, and I think we pay down debt again, back to C, but a 50k goon squad is now a bit much, considering that he could throw 14k EMP at it, a 10k dynamite. Yeah, and so he puts down his off-world here. He still doesn't have a goon. Goons are 50k. He goes for a dynamite, throws it at my off-world. I'm sorry if the in-game sound has been a bit loud this game. I'm just sort of noticing that now. I'm going to turn it down a bit. So he throws his dynamite at my off-world, which is goon, but not anymore. And now we are looking at a 50k goon. Another hack array comes up. He starts the bid at 10. I go for 12. I mean, I don't really want to give him a second hack array, even though I'm pretty sure like you can't stack hacks. Like only one goes at a time. I just contest the bid for 12k, but then he lets me take it, and that puts me into D again. Oof. So we're at 170k debt. I mean, we're just barely out of C. I pay down a bunch. I get some launches. I'm buying into my short. I have an electronic short coming in, so I buy fairly heavily into that. But as you'll see, I believe Black Magic very shortly goes for electronic surplus, so he starts like just counteracting my hacks completely. I'm going for carbon short because he is in one chem refinery with no carbon. I mean, it's not like he's consuming a ton of carbon, but he is consuming a bit. So I'm just trying to find any margin I can at this point. He goes for another dynamite, and as I mentioned, like we didn't regoon that for 50. That was kind of a lot. We did manage to push into most of his stock, actually all of his stock at this point, but we're back in D, and debt is this is a huge problem for myself. I let debt tick while I'm in D, and this is just this is going to seal the deal. 50k tick, 50k. I'm at 220 now. I need to pay 60k to get back into C and use the black market, and I absolutely need to use the black market this game. I need, he's got thinking machines, but it's still, I think, fine to spend 14k on an EMP, and shut down 2 off-worlds. So yeah, I think, but now I'm making 1 launch. He blew up my off-world. I'm still repairing. The launch isn't even queued. I just finished launching or whatever, so there's no launch ready yet. Yeah, so it's going to be really hard to get out of this. And meanwhile, he's he's on 100k.
Successful off-world
We get a
shipment.
launch which pushes
Make room
us
for
to
the
like
profits.
we're
Optimization
hovering
routine
around 120 as
successful.
well. We're both about 120. I have a pretty good stock advantage at this point, but our debt is just brutal. And additionally, Thinking Machines really starts to tell at this point. I mean, he's got his 2 off-worlds online, and this is where, Thinking Machines just dominates. It's just so good late.
You
It's
can't
so
let
good.
them get this. Bid now before it's too late.
If you do see a player pick up Thinking Machines at like HQ4 and then expand without really trying to defend themselves, like you need to take them down then and there, because if you let it go to the point where they have off-worlds and Thinking Machines, it's kind of over. So Water Engine, this is like, like I'm not gonna take any kind of auction. I'm happy that he rebid that. Like I bid on it and then he rebid, which makes me really happy. It would have been okay for us ish, sort of, but we can't afford the debt. How are we doing? Oh, this is us. So we're selling down steel, selling down aluminum. Trying to sell them. Oh yeah, we do this swap. We finally get the 3 reactors set up. We just, we scrapped our farms and then put 2 farms over here since we just want more reactors at this point. And we do have nanotech, so that wasn't like the worst ever. It should be mentioned that my upgrades are quite good now. We've had this upgrade lab at the colony working for quite a bit of time now, whereas Black Magic only is getting his 2nd upgrade done. It is on oxygen, which is strong, and he does have a triangle of reactors. So we are ahead in upgrades, but it's just not enough at this point. So I try to break. Let's see, how did this play out exactly? Yeah, so he came with a circuit overload onto my offworld, which is gooned, and then I threw it back onto his, and then he threw it back onto my other one. So yeah, I don't know about that. I think I probably should have just left his gooned and just not even tried to fight his offworlds anymore. Just try to only protect mine. I think that would have been the. Why can I not unpause here? Okay, that would have been the better play at this point in time. But now he's got 4 stocks in me, I have 4 stocks in him. His stock is more valuable. I pushed into colonize at some point, I don't remember when, but at this point, Dianatuso is much more profitable than my sub. Am I reading that correctly? No, I'm not. I'm making 700 on mine, and he's making 1100 on his. So yeah, his sub is more profitable. I put this over here to make sure it's not goons, and I think I throw like an MP at it here. Black Magic tried to EMP my offworld, which I think I had redefended for like 70k maybe. We are launching. We get 2 launches off, but yeah, so we used the 2 launches to buy the last piece of his stock, so that leaves us at 180k resources. He's on 240.
Market misinformation in progress.
Yeah, he's surplusing our hack. Not sure quite how. I mean, he's just a good player. I mean, there's not spies. He just is kind of able to anticipate what my move is going to be here. So we're both making shipments. I go for a freeze. I think it was like 20k. I put it directly on his offworld because I knew there wasn't a goon. But it's not that effective. The splash only goes like for 10 seconds over here, Thinking Machines, and then this is like a 40-second freeze. Whereas he hits me with one, and mine is frozen for 100 seconds, and then the splash is 20 seconds. So that's really just working out a lot better for him than it is for me. We're still short on ox. Oh, because we were frozen, right? That would make sense. So here comes the surplus. I do have a bunch of carbon, and it's like shorting and surplusing at the same time. But I think I just really probably lose some cash in that exchange. Yeah, he goes up by quite a bit on that. I think he. I don't remember if he had bought. Like I kind of missed his stockpile, but I think I get a little outplayed on that. I get one more shipment off this guy. Puts me at 360. He's at 550. Yeah, it's just those repairs on my Offworld. Plus, yeah, and actually this is why too. I did finally put myself into B, but it's just too little, too late. I mean, that was a lot. That was a lot of cash I spent to get into B. When, I've just paid so much. Like, it's hard to correctly emphasize like just how much cash I've paid towards debt this game. Like, it's been a lot, a lot. He goes for one more dynamite onto this off-world, which pretty much just seals the deal for him. At this point, the black market is like completely prohibitive for me. It's not at all worth it for me to do anything with it to him. Just with his thinking machines and how much it costs. So we're just kind of dead at this point. He's at 670. I'm at 560. So we're like 100k behind, and like I guarantee I spent at least 200 to 250 paying down debt this game. So that was the game. That cash, my mismanagement of my debt, not gooning my power, is what cost me the game here. If you guys remember, I was at off HQ5 with an Offworld building into a second before he even made it to 5. So there was an opening, but we just weren't quite in strong enough position. Also, not having this tile, missing the silicon. Yeah, so that was really, very well played by Magic. I did make mistakes. It wasn't a perfect game. I don't think he probably didn't play a perfect game either, but it was more perfect than mine. So that's kind of how these types of games tend to go. Shout out to Colonize. He played very well. He just expoed without protecting himself. And to DN Natusa, I hope to keep seeing him around. Just got to put in the reps and, you'll figure it out. So, I hope you guys enjoyed. GG's.